In what ways is Diddy really dangerous? We know that he has been turned down for bail twice by two different courts. This week, his lawyers sent a notice of appeal to the U.S. District Court, hoping that the judges would change their minds and free him. He is being held in the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center by the federal government and says he is innocent. On his third effort to get bail, Diddy's behavior is said to have made the judge angry. His behavior was seen as rude and cocky, which led to a strict reaction. Charges, which include serious crimes like trafficking in persons. No matter how famous Diddy is, the court wants him to behave properly. Could Diddy's actions be making things worse for him? Thanks for coming back to Court TV Live. If anything new comes up in the case of Sean P. Diddy Combs, the hip-hop mogul who is being charged with RICO in New York, we will let you know. A source told Court TV that Tupac Shakur's family is looking into a possible link to the case. In the killing of Tupac and Sean Diddy, a court notice released on Thursday said that Diddy's case had been moved to Judge Aaron Subramanian. Judge Subramanian was chosen by President Joe Biden in 2022 and began working in 2023. Subramanian used to work as a clerk for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and at the law firm Saussman Godfrey, where he specialized in complicated civil cases. There was no explanation for why the judge was moved. President Obama chose them in 2011. I think that anyone did any of these things without permission. What does that mean to you? That's a big problem with the government's case right there, and the defense was quick to point it out. Even if he was doing what was said to be happening, there was nothing in the indictment that said any of these claimed victims or witnesses were agreed to do some of these things that people find insulting or that sound offensive. What was the consent? That's a very important part of the case. However, there are enough charges here to go along with what the claimed victims will say about how he used resources from his businesses, including those for his well-known Bad Boy Entertainment, clothing line, and liquor line. It is said that they used money from their own resources to pay for this claimed prostitution activity that took place across state lines. This is why it is a federal case that happened across straight lines. Of course, the defense has brought up some issues in the beginning, but it looks like Carter refused Combs bail because of worries about witness intimidation and violence, which is why Combs is appealing the decision. The Southern District of New York office seems very sure that they can handle the case, even though it is big and complicated. Why do you think it took them so long to go after Combs, though, when the crimes have been going on for more than 10 years? I think it was easy for the government to put together this final trial since there are already a lot of civil cases against Sean Combs. In the case with Cassie, his ex-girlfriend, who was shown the video, he was seen hitting her, and it looked like he was hitting her on camera. I believe the government and investigators were able to gather all of this simple proof that was given to them. The judge was very against Diddy's third effort to get bail. They were very worried about the serious charges against him, such as witness tampering and possible threats. This is where you heard it first. Could the third time be the charm? Diddy is putting together his dream legal team for a new try on the bell. He will try again for the third time. Diddy is trying to get out of jail on bond again, 2 weeks after he was arrested. We're told that he's putting together a strong law team to help him make it happen. Well, new court papers show that the rat mogul's lawyer filed an appeal against the most recent order that didn't let him post bond. The appeal will be his third official try to get out of jail while he waits for his trial. TMZ has learned from people close to Diddy that the rapper has added 2 more lawyers to his team working on his well-known criminal case. Their names are Anthony Rico and Alexander Shapiro. Also, just so you know, Alexandria is not connected to the famous defense lawyer Robert Shapiro. People say that Tony is one of the best trial lawyers in the land. It has also been said that Alexandria is one of the best appeal lawyers working today. His lawyers said that he wasn't a threat, but the judge didn't agree, pointing out how serious the charges were and how it could affect the case. It sounds like Diddy is putting together something like his dream team. Bell, even though Diddy's lawyer said the famous person would pay $50 million for Bell and only have female guests from his family if the court let him stay in his Miami home until the trial. However, after hearing from both the defense and the government U.S., Diddy asked District Judge Andrew Carter to release Bell, but he said no because prison is dangerous. We all know that he is. Because of this, I can't wait until they lock him up for good. Hi, my name is Pina, and this is great news. When Sherri Shepherd talked about the case, she pointed out how hard it was to sort through all the different accusations. Courts have to figure out how to tell the difference between true charges and possible ones. Shepherd's insight shows how the media and public opinion can make these lines less clear. Do you think all of the claims will be taken seriously, even if they mean more than 100 lawsuits? A shockingly large amount of claims, ranging from assault to trafficking. Since there are so many of them, it has become one of the biggest legal problems in the history of entertainment. The sheer number of cases against him could change how people see him and how bad any court consequences are in the future. As if things couldn't get any worse for Sean Diddy Combs, a well-known lawyer said today that he plans to file more than 100 cases from people who say they were hurt by him. The following are some of the claims we plan to make. Assault or rape with violence, sexual abuse, helping someone have sex while under the influence of drugs, fake imprisonment, and forcing someone to be prostitute. Sex crimes, sharing video records, false imprisonment, and sexual abuse of children are all serious crimes. Ariel Mitchell, a lawyer for one of Diddy's victims, has made it clear that the rapper will be facing more charges soon. Mitchell said that charges would be brought, which added weight to the probes that were already going on. The fact that Mitchell has made claims of years of abuse and trafficking shows how bad things could get for the music mogul. Before we even start, let me ask you this, something else. Why are you suing now? Does it have anything to do with the possible government investigation going on at the moment? We filed the case because Mr. Combs hurt my client, and she had been looking for a lawyer for a while. She talked to lawyers who have worked with people like Cassie's and other lawyers before she even looked for a lawyer to defend her in her claims. We're now at a point where Mr. Combs will almost certainly be charged with a crime for all of the cases that are now public knowledge. A government investigator said that the investigation into Diddy's activities was supposed to end by the end of the year, but recent events have sped up the process. The accusations against Diddy and the growing body of proof have sped up the investigation, which could lead to his trial sooner than planned. I thought, oh, they're working on a big case when the raids happened. That was a little earlier than I thought. I thought it would be before the end of the year. Why was he put in jail? The government will then show everything to a grand jury and say, we have all of this. Is it more likely or less likely that this person did what we say? A grand jury can charge almost anyone, and once you've been charged, you can be jailed. He looks like he's in handcuffs because his hands are behind his back. He then sits down and puts his hands on the table. I mean, man, you're not even handcuffed. The government doesn't lose. Is that really true? The government almost never loses. They are very careful about which cases they take on. Afterwards, twice turned down for bail. It shouldn't be a surprise that one of the charges has a no bail rule. For the court, it means that they think you won't get bail. The person being charged really needs to show that they deserve bail, and all of his phones were tapped. Are you sure that those calls will be made public? Not until this is tried in court. Do you think it will be shown on TV like the trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? The government doesn't let people record sound or video in court, which is a shame, but there are some great independent media sources that go to court and tweet live about what's going on. He seemed like he was on suicide watch. That's the same for all defendants. It's not because of what he said or did, which you're talking about. There's a lot of talk about who will be next. How are the feds going to tell who is just at a party? Is this faster signal proof that something is wrong compared to people who are involved in a crime? If everyone is an adult, does it look bad? Yes. Will it be likely for the government to want to talk to them about what they know? Yes. The next step will depend on the digital proof. It doesn't matter what you knew or didn't know or thought or didn't think about someone under the age of 18. I think that he used those movies very well to stay out of trouble for so long. This is just my guess. In this case, do you think he's the biggest fish? He seems like one of them. People are now naming other famous people in these civil cases. What are some names that have been given? It was Usher a lot of the time. In the past week we saw, deleted all of his tweets, his whole Twitter. That seems silly now. Professionals have said what they think Diddy might have to deal with if he is found guilty. The trafficking and other serious charges against him could change his life forever, even if he ends up in jail for a long time. We know now that Diddy is mostly being charged with 3 crimes. We talked about crime, but we don't know how many counts there are yet. Let's get to the bottom of sex trafficking now. Mainly 3 parts: the act, the means, and the goal. The trafficker commits the crime when they find, house, get, or ask someone to have commercial sex with them. And the term commercial sex is very broad. It just means when sex is given in exchange for something of value. Those are the 3 parts of sex trafficking: the act, the means, and the goal. And an element is like a key part that you need to have in order to get a certain result. Would be a model for future cases involving celebrities and trafficking in people. I don't know what you're making if you don't have those 3 things. It ain't a cake. That's what elements are then. In order to get to sex trafficking, you need at least those three things. There is no sex trafficking if those three things are not present. People also think that you have to take this person across state lines, county lines, or borders. This is not true. You can, but you don't have to. We already know what three things you need to start sex trafficking: the act, the way, and the goal. That's fine with him. But you don't need that. Let's change the subject and talk about the moment. We all know that his bail was turned down, and we talked about it in the last film. Let's talk about why now. Diddy's lawyer talked a lot about how he's not likely to run away. His Idaho is going to be given back to him. His plane is up for sale, his ankle will be watched, and he will stay at home. However, the lawyers were mostly interested in obstructing justice. That it wasn't about him leaving either. The problem was that he would keep getting in the way of calling witnesses and victims if he wasn't sent to jail. He was paying them off by promising to help them financially if they didn't work with the government. He also told some of the people he hurt to lie about what happened. And based on what he heard, the judge told him, "You're not going anywhere, let's talk about where Diddy is now." The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, is his new home. There are concerns about whether Diddy will get a fair trial because the fact that he is a star could sway the jurors' decisions, even if they try to stay neutral. The evidence against Diddy will show that he is guilty. If he is found not guilty, it will be because there was not enough evidence. Do you think that his fame will help or hurt him in court? 1. Will Diddy go to court? 2. Will he be given a fair trial? 3rd, will he give evidence? I don't know which one. 2nd, will he be given a fair trial? The phrase fair trial isn't really legal. Always keep in mind that the United States of America, with all its money, power, and resources, is after one person. This is the fairest hearing that can be found. The person who has more money is more valuable than him. In other words, will he get a fair trial? Also, the jury is the second reason why you should pay attention to a federal hearing. People are mostly chosen from a pool when the state method is used to choose juries. Those groups of people were chosen based on your DMV records. Anyone over a certain age who has a driver's license can serve on the board. You know the state-level jury is crazy if you've ever been on the Jersey Turnpike and been hit by one of these double bangers when you cut someone off. If you choose the federal system, the jury group is chosen from the list of people who have registered to vote. It will be clear to everyone that these people are more likely to care about their community, be more conservative, and be ready to help the government. That's why everyone should go vote. That's the idea. That's also why the government has a 98% success rate, in case you don't believe me. Diddy could also be charged with RICO, which stands for Racketeer Influenced in Corrupt Organizations. This is a type of crime that is usually taken down by the law. The government could say that Diddy's alleged illegal actions were part of a bigger plan if they used it. These charges make his case even more difficult and raise the stakes a great deal. What might this mean for his defense going forward? Finally, the thing that scares me. In any hearing, you are not allowed to talk about the bad things someone did in the past. You're not allowed to go into. Often, bad things they've done in the past. Why don't you want to talk about this? Because we don't want your past actions to affect how the jury decides your case. People who are on trial for burglary breaking into someone's house and they smoked weed in 7th, 8th, or 9th school shouldn't be told this by the jury. You don't want them to think, if he'll lie, he'll cheat. If he'll cheat, he'll steal. If he'll steal, he'll kill, so you don't want this information from before to come in. But this isn't true when you're talking about RICO. That's when the government can get involved in crimes that don't seem to have anything to do with RICO. To show that you are, no matter what they say, a bad person and the leader of a crime group. Okay, so the fire might not have anything to do with the sex trafficking, payment, or intimidating witnesses, but under RICO, we can use all of that to show you're a bad person. That's why federal cases are so hard. We can bring up all the other bad things Combs did. Finally, will he give his testimony? A lot of messages have told me that he has already decided to speak. Legal experts talk about claims that the parties went on for days and included commercial workers in planned acts that Diddy is said to have directed. Aside from the physical abuse, the claims have mostly been about forcing, controlling, and blackmailing. As criminal defense lawyers, we are often told that all of our cases will go to trial, which is not true. Finally, Lush, if you look at the numbers, I think that about 80% to 90% of the cases we work on end with some kind of deal or plea. In a way, we're not even lawyers for 80s R&B singers, we're just Keith Sweat pleading our cases to get the deals we want. This means that every once in a while, a very small number of cases actually go to trial. And whenever someone goes to court, I always tell them you don't know what's going on until you sit in court, get all the evidence, and listen to it and the facts. So, our boy Diddy is a great model. We don't know what's going on because all we've heard is what the public has said, and you're not in that court. There are 3 things that could happen if you spy on yourself while you're on a trial as a jury. Possible one is the simple one. I think he did it, and I think the state proved it, so that's possibility 1. That one is simple. That's a guilty. Chance number 2 is also a simple one. They didn't prove he did it, and I don't think he did it either. Diddy is said to have used tapes of these events as threats to keep people quiet or in line. How far does this kind of power and trickery go in the entertainment business? Finally, we reach number 3. This is likely something that happens quite often. I really think he did it. They didn't prove it, though. Also, that's not guilty. That's what ends up taking place. A lot of the time, I tell people that the state or federal government has to show their case beyond a reasonable doubt. What does that mean? Is there no question about that? Not at all. That's just how I feel. They were supposed to do their jobs but didn't. They had work to do but didn't do it. Something is wrong. I know it. There's something missing. Have you ever been watching a movie or a Netflix show and thought, nah, they want me to believe that this person is the killer? The ending also has a twist. Diddy is being held in a facility in Brooklyn where he can't use phones or other electronics as part of his detention. Being alone is a big change from his usual busy, linked life, and it might make it harder for him to work out plans with his legal team. What do you think will happen in this case? It is this Brooklyn jail, and he is in this very special area. There is an area of the building that provides extra protection for famous people who might be targeted by regular people. And that might mean he can only use places like the phone and the library. Their clients say that this could make it hard for him to get ready for court. These things are the reason why Combs' lawyer wants him to be sent to a jail in New Jersey. But a judge said that the Bureau of Prisons would make the final decision. In other words, he can keep appealing this and make an appeal about the bond, right? You did see it with Ghislaine Maxwell, though. She kept making appeals, but they didn't work. 2 federal judges are now telling you to stay in jail. That's all for this video today. Wait until the next time.